corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from NFL playoffs to pro and college basketball, UFC, MMA, and much more. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. With live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. BetOnline is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here with our guy, legendary Chiefs, and we gotta say Eagles this week. Lies this week, JD. Legendary Chiefs and Eagles tight end Jason Dunn, JD, all the way back from the NFLPA College Bowl. He wasn't with us this past Sunday after the Chiefs Bengals game, but he was at the College Bowl. JD, how was La La Land, man?
Man, it was excellent out there. I mean, you know, the thing is, when you're out there in the sunny California, you see I got a little sun. I got a little bit of, you know, just being on my face. And it was glorious, absolutely glorious, man. I had a wonderful time. Got to be part of the national team. There was some great coaches, some legendary players that was there. And it was all of it just seemed like I was texting them today. Like it just seemed like a locker room. It really did. But, you know, the wealth of knowledge and the sort of information passed on to these kids that's going on to the NFL this next year and getting into the draft is vital for them to just know, to get and understand. So the NFLPA Bowl, man, was probably, to me, is probably one of the best bowls out there, if not the best bowl out there, just for the simple fact that it's the first look that scouts get to see you, get to interview you and see exactly what you can do physically, mentally, how you handle the stressors of being out there in front of teams, just competing against, you know, of course, all your guys that you're going into the draft with. So it was a glorious time, man. It was fruitful in a lot of ways, man. And I just appreciative of all the guys that I had, you know, as far as coaching them this past week, man. Great group of guys, man. Some super duper guys all over it. So.
You know, so you were there. Do you have any scoops for us on any players that you could see the Chiefs? You know our needs better than anybody. Yeah. Do you see any guys that you could see fit well on the Chiefs next year?
I've seen a few guys actually. A lot of guys, man. That there was a lot of talent out there, no doubt about it. I mean, I seen some guys that's going to be probably drafted, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth round. There's going to be some free agent guys, but there were some guys that really stood out. Defensively and offensively, you know, in the game and just all week in practice. So I'm not going to say exactly who those guys were, but I will tell you this. I will tell you the guys that I had on my side that I was coaching. So I'll start with Ben Sims, who's a tight end from Baylor. Big kid. He's got a lot of athletic ability, can run routes, catch, block. Solid guy all the way around. So I can definitely see being on somebody's squad this year, probably getting drafted somewhere. I don't know, maybe, third round, fourth, maybe possibly, if not earlier. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, this guy, he can do it all. And then going also to Michael Ezeki, play for UCLA. Guy, tall guy, lanky, tight end, got a lot of length to him, catches the ball well, high points the ball, athletic, can make plays. You know, blocking is pretty good. It's good blocking. he's going to get better at it. I could just tell, just kind of working with him without the week. But he, the significant guy, man, he's going to be able to make a lot of plays in the NFL. Another guy that I had, man, Brady Russell from Colorado, who's more of like an H-back, kind of 6'3" guy. You know, every time I think about him, I think about a guy like Noah Gray. You know what I mean? Who is when I see how he could be utilized in the NFL, he's a guy that can come in and can block, can be in the backfield, be on the line of scrimmage. He can kind of do it all, and he can get open in the passing game. He's got a little wiggle to him. He's working on those things, but he got some speed. He's got a lot of grit to him. So, man, I was really pleased working with Brady. You know, and also he does, man. He's a long snapper. He can do all those things. So he does a great job. And all these guys can play special teams. And the other guy that I had was Jaleel Billingsley. Jaleel Billingsley, man, he's an athlete. He's an athletic tight end, seam routes, corner routes, whatever you ask him to do, he can do it physically. I mean, that's the thing about it. And so his thing is, you know, just getting a little bit stronger in the blocking game, which he'll do. He'll get his nose in there and he'll block. That's one thing about him, man. All these guys had that element to them of toughness, a lot of ability. Like I said, could stretch the football field. But you know, Jaleel in himself, man, he's a guy, man. He could get open against anybody. And so I've seen all four of these guys come into play in the NFL, no doubt about it, man. But they were just a great set of guys that I had that I was coaching. Not to mention two guys, man, that wasn't able to perform because they had gotten hurt. But those two guys, man, they were doing excellent guys, just listening to everything. Very attentive, very smart, intelligent. But you said those guys also have a chance too. So it was a fruitful, like I said, a fruitful week, man. It really was. It's great.
I mean, you're like I said last week, and I've said before, like for a lot of these young kids, like it's really beneficial to have a guy like you who's like, you know, known regularly as one of the best block attendants of all time. So having you be able to, you know, give them some pointers and stuff that they're possibly not getting from their college coaches, their high school coaches, because nowadays a tight end is really not staying home to block anymore. They're a bigger receiver, bigger bodied receiver now. So you're giving them stuff they may have never even heard before, which I think is awesome, and which also speaks to the NFL Collegiate Bowl, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it, man. I'm the toolage that we was able to, you know, to impart on these guys, hopefully be able to stick, because it just gives them a whole open look at the process, takes the lid off of everything, every question that you may have for these young guys. But I seen it as it was a privilege and an honor for me to go out there and to be able to give that type of information to these guys. You know, I'm so thankful for it, man. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna text these guys after this and let them know, like, hey, look, man, I'm gonna start talking, putting you guys out there. But they did a lot, man. The scouts will come up to them, start talking to them. But also, too, man, one thing that it wasn't just me. You had to think about the guys that we had out there, man. We talking about Jackie Slater, O-line coach, Andre Rison, wide receiver coach, Eddie George, the head coach. You know, we had, let me see, who else do we have? Kendall Simmons is the D-line coach. I mean, we had guys that Keith Bullock, you know, linebacker coach. JB, who was the defensive coordinator, man. We had Coach Fredericks, man, who was Mark Fredericks, who was down there at Prairie View, OC. All these guys and some young guys that was coming up too, man, that did just a tremendous job. And I'm telling you, like, just a great job, a wealth of knowledge, guys and that's just on our side, on the national side of things that we had. So a lot of stuff. Robert Edwards, running back coach. So it was glorious to see. Benny Sapp, another guy. So I'm gonna give you some Andre Rison, Derek Alexander, who was on the American side, Bobby Scipio was on the American side, Benny Sapp was on my side. We're talking about there's 4 Chiefs that was out here, 5, including me, that were out here coaching this collegiate bowl, man. So
wow.
Yeah, man, it was great. I'm gonna send some pictures out, man, because it was a great time. It was a really great time to catch up with all the guys, man, I played with.
Like a little mini Chiefs reunion over there.
Yeah, it was. It was, man. Like I said, it was like the locker room. But yeah, man. No, great time. Absolutely great time. Wonderful.
Did you get to watch the Chiefs game with any other former Chiefs, or was it just you? No,
just me. Just
okay.
Me. You know, and the thing is, I got to actually start watching the game late. I ended up catching up with my niece, who's out there right now.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's doing a little career as far as acting and different things like that, directing. And so we actually went to a museum before that. And so I was trying to catch a little bit, on the little camera on the TV, the cell phone. That's all I was trying to think, just a little bit, just catching it before we got to the game. And I think I was hitting you up a little bit to see like where everything was. So finally, when I got to, check it out, man, I got to, around some good people, and it was great atmosphere out there in sunny California, LA, and had to go watch these boys, man, put that wood on these jokers.
Yep.
Put that wood on these jokers, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of that was going on because all week talking cash-ish all week. That's all it was. Yeah. So I was just looking, I was like, yo, you know what? I cannot wait till we put the brakes on these jokers. I told you, man, one of the things I was doing, man, like right now, I told you one of my favorite things I'm bumping to right now, without doubt. Hold on. Know your role. Can you hear it? Know your role and shut your mouth. Know your role. Know your role. Know your role and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Know your role and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Yeah, that's my jam right now. That's what I'm jamming on right now.
I mean, it's a good one. I mean, yeah, Kelce wasn't shied away from the mic this weekend in that post game.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna get into the a little bit of the Cincinnati Mayor. But before we get into that, we want to recognize our sponsor. We kind of teased at this on our Twitter yesterday that we have a new sponsor, a major announcement. It's you can see at the bottom of our screen we have Pickett there. So Pickett, and I know some of the degenerate gamblers out there may have already know about this, but so Pickett is an app that pretty much consolidates all your sports betting apps. So if you are using DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, you can link your account to Pickett. And Pickett will pretty much share all your bets in one app together, consolidates it all. It also shows the analytics and statistics of all your bets. Like if you look at mine, and that's one thing when you look at the link in the description, you can check out the Chief Concerns one. That's my betting account. Really what you see is that I bet on the Chiefs and the 76ers pretty much all the time. And as you can see, the bobbleheads behind me, it makes sense. But no, it's cool. It shows all your statistics. And the cool thing is you can also, like, the community aspect of it, you can share bets with other people, other fans. And so there's a little bit of everything there. And if you sign up now and then the link in the description and use our promo code Chiefs, you'll get anywhere from $3 and it could be $100. So that's what it is, guys. So go get that money. Just type in that promo code Chiefs in the link in the description. And that's one thing too. We have all these we have these sponsors and stuff, and it's always cool to get a sponsor that we actually utilize. And for me, I don't know about you, JD, but for me as a sport gambler on all these sports, college basketball, college football, NFL, it's a great having an app like that, and I can actually speak a lot about that because actually I use the product, right?
Okay. Well, shoot, man, I'm about to put a little money out on them. I don't really do any gambling on games and stuff, man, but I might have to put a little $5 here, $100 there. I think this past year, if you was putting your money on the Chiefs, then you was making bank. You was making bank, baby. So I think it was a good bet, right?
I have you'll appreciate this. The Sixers and the Chiefs. So I placed a bet like in the summertime on the Chiefs winning the AFC and the Sixers winning the Eastern Conference. So half right so far. Yeah. And so we'll see what happens with the Sixers and the NBA.
Yeah. They got a good shot, man. They got a good shot. So
hopefully things are coming together. They looked at this weekend was great. I had MB put something on Jokic on Saturday, and then Sunday the Chiefs ended up winning the AFC Championship game. So it was a beautiful weekend as a Sixers and Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
But now the two worlds collide.
Well, yeah, I seen him beat at the Eagles game. They showed him on the sideline, checking everything out. So, I like him. Yeah. They're a little tough, man, because you got Brooklyn and you got Boston, of course, in the East. But I think they're
Milwaukee too.
And Milwaukee also. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so for all you sport, I know we have a lot of our fans, our sport degenerate gamblers like myself. So you guys go check out Pickett and use our promo code Chiefs in the link in the description below. All right, so if you were listening and you heard JD's little remix that he was playing there a little bit ago, the Know Your Role and Shut Your Mouth was Travis Kelce talking to the mayor from Cincinnati. And so after the game, Kelce called out the mayor, a jabroni, as JD posted in that video. And JD, he was kind of taken aback by the whole Burrowhead talk, and he actually had a video. And if you haven't seen that on social media, we'll play it for you right now. JD actually called out Cincinnati and told him this was going to happen. And this is directly after the game. This is JD's reaction.
It is done. It is finished. All right. No, I want to hear no more Burrowhead Stadium. None of that. Send these jokers back to Cincinnati. Okay? Rocking. Take that terrible chili with them. All right? Kick rocks. They throwing all over the place. Game's over. Goodbye. Beat it. See you later. See you later. There it is. Look at him. Look at him. Hey. Joe. What's up? Come on, Casey. See you in Phoenix. See you in Phoenix, baby. There it is. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah.
So JD, that was an amazing video. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's great." So JD, and I know you were kind of mad about what the mayor had to say about the whole paternity test thing with Burrow and Mahomes. So I'm gonna let you have the floor right now. What is your message back to the mayor after all the talk he had last night? Obviously, what happened on Sunday, them losing the game. What is your message to the mayor?
Well, listen, Travis said it all right there, and put it together by Remix God, man. Suede Remix God doing an incredible job. I always watch his stuff on IG, man. He does a tremendous job of putting these videos together. But my thing was, I think when I first messaged you, I'm like, man, what is this guy doing? Right? I mean, you're setting yourself up. Like if everything didn't work out, like how much this is going to come back on you, right? And then he almost took it, doubled down, went overboard by calling the Kansas City mayor, called him small, called him little, said he got some small clothes for him. Then he said, only thing they got out there is the barbecue. What else did he say? The city's named after the state of Kansas. Like all of these things. He was just spouting. And I was just like, man, this dude is absolutely loading up to have an epic fail. Here's what he's doing. And I'm telling you, he's got egg all over his face. He looks like a fool. He sounded like a fool. And you know what? He's the laughing stock right now in the country, especially with Kansas City fans and this guy right over here. And to me, it was outlandish. It was overboard. So no need to do it. And look, I get it. Hey, if you're a fan of the team, I got that part of it. There's nothing wrong with that. But to go on this whole rant and making a video about these things is just, to me, is just ridiculous. There's no need for that. Yeah, you the mayor can't. Hey, Mayor Cincinnati. Hey, Cincinnati Bengals, good luck. Hope you win this game or whatever, right? That's support. But then to go in and talk about Joe Burrow is the father in the paternity test of Patrick Mahomes is like, okay, now you load your tail up with some ish right now. That's what you're doing. As a matter of fact, everybody's looking at this, and all of a sudden, you thinking more people are against Cincinnati just because of the video that you made. That's your fault. That's Cincinnati, the Bengals, that is your fault. That's y'all guy. That's y'all mayor. That's the dude y'all have to, that y'all had to look up and say, hey, this is the guy we support and talk about him, and try to at least say some type of, credibility, because he just lost all of it then with all that craziness, man. But all in fun, I get it, whatever. But he looks like an absolute jackass. He does. What he looks like. Hey, man, whatever, right? I guess that's why he's mayor. you got to do something. Pull some punches. Got to make the people sound good. So we go with it.
JD, you're getting a question here from a fan, Angry Drunken German.
Yeah.
JD, tell us about the time you and T. Rich and Shields completely erased Ray Lewis from a football game. He cried for 16 minutes. Everyone remembers that one.
Yeah. That was tough on Ray that day. It was tough on Ray that day. Matter of fact, I think that's why I scored a touchdown, first touchdown of the game. We just had a game plan. The game plan was simple. Line up and hit these jokers in the mouth, period. We're going to play physical football. And Will Shields, T. Rich, Brian Waters, everybody took a piece of Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Knew he was going to be the one on defense that you had to tame. And so the best way to do it with Ray is keep hitting with everybody, as many people as possible. We got Hall of Famers. Ray's one of the greatest linebacker ever to play the game in the middle. And so what we did is we took some of the greatest guards and tackles and fullbacks to ever play the game to go hit Ray. That's the game plan. So it was real simple. And it worked out. And Ray was bloodied. He was talking. There's no way. 2 or 3. Yeah. And everybody was just taking shots. I mean, it was, when I'm talking about it was grown man ball then. That's how we were playing. So, like I said, T. Rich and Shields and Brian Waters. I think Willie Rowe got a little piece of him. Casey Wigman, all those guys got a little piece of Ray that day, and he felt every bit of it, man. So we leaned on him.
From a fan's, from a viewer, we saw that and saw that, he was mic'd up and saying stuff on the sideline stuff. Was he complaining to you guys on the field? Do you remember him hearing him complaining to you guys when you guys were roughing him up a little bit throughout the game, or no, not really?
No, not really. I mean, I didn't hear too much. I know everybody's yapping. You hear everybody's talking noise all the time, and so it's just part of football.
Right.
So I don't know anything in particular that he was saying until it comes. Obviously, everything gets exposed. With the video, with Ray is saying, they putting like a tape on his eye, like he's Rocky getting hit. There's no way. I don't understand. He's just, and so it was like I don't know. The trainer was like the cut man watching him, but no, man. Ray was always a formidable foe against us. But that day, man, I think we were maybe 1 and 2, 3 at the time. And we knew that if we're gonna start this run, it has to start here. And we knew that Monday Night Football, we had to make a statement. And what's the best way to do it against one of the best defenses to ever play the game? And so that to me, man, is incredible. Like you said, Angry Jugger said it was priceless, no doubt about it.
Yeah. It was the old MasterCard commercial. Some things money can't buy.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously this week, Chiefs won. Both your teams that you played for, Chiefs and Eagles, won. And some are calling it the Andy Reid Bowl. Some are calling it the Kelce Bowl. We're calling it the JD, the Dunn Bowl on this show. But this game kind of brings a little bit of a historic moment for the NFL and just the whole world in general. Whereas it's the first time we're going to have 2 African-American quarterbacks going up against each other in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's crazy that only 3 African-American quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl, Doug Williams being one, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes. And now we're guaranteed an African-American quarterback winning the Super Bowl this time around. But JD, just talk to us about the historic impact of this, of Mahomes playing against Burrow in the Super Bowl. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think sometimes you don't necessarily get to appreciate these nuggets or first things happen in the history. Especially something like this is phenomenal just to hear it and just to see it. Especially, I guess, when you look at where the league has gone, right? Where it kind of started to where it is now. And this is significance. And so when you have 2 guys, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, with the ancestry of, African-American, you got to celebrate it. It's a good thing. These 2 young guys, two gunslingers that I think all the time they don't get the credit that's due to them. I really do. But I think it just shows the transition of where we've been going on in this world, United States in itself, of just getting more guys out there as quarterbacks, African-American quarterbacks out there. Because back in the day, if a lot of people don't know, it's just where it used to be, where they didn't think that, blacks were intelligent enough to play quarterback. There's a lot of things, like even now, they tell, some of the quarterbacks that are runners, more so they say, running quarterbacks, that they can't play quarterback. Can't be a QB in the NFL. And that's just not true. They say it about Lamar Jackson. They was talking about Jalen Hurts. They say, Patrick Mahomes is playing backyard football. And so sometimes I don't think, I think it's just a lack of awareness, possibly. I think if you don't necessarily, if it doesn't necessarily affect you personally in some type of ways, and you can't empathize, then it's different. The people can't necessarily see it. And so it's the same thing. Like if we had like two women who maybe done some different things and stuff like that, then, you know, it's like, wow, you should be, you know, celebrating those things. You know, I got daughters, and so they like, hey, Dad, this is the first time, you know, two women are able to do these things. And absolutely, that's a wonderful thing, and it should be celebrated. And sometimes, you know, marginalized communities, because of the things that have been going in the past, doesn't necessarily have, I guess, those things to celebrate and put their stakes on. But this now right here, with the significance of it, I think is very special. And so, man, like I said, two very talented quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. And so this is going to be a nice, hard-fought game. But the historical indication, the significance of it, importance is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that, you know, and I think we had our guy Benjamin Watchhold here who said Warren Moon is still the only African American quarterback in the Hall of Fame, and it's, you know, and that goes to show you that through the test of time, there really hasn't been that many. You know, if you think about the amount of quarterbacks that have been playing for so long, you think about that, there's not that many African American quarterbacks who've even played. And then now you got, nowadays, you fast forward to now, you got two guys in the Super Bowl. You got three of the projected first round quarterback picks this coming draft class will be African American, between Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson from Florida.
Yeah.
So you have three guys right there. So then that goes to show you the game is changing. But you know, also a counter to that, you know, talk about the progression of in the NFL having more African American quarterbacks, but you're also seeing more a regression in the minority coaches. You know, you're not seeing. I think as of right now, you got Mike Tomlin, you got D'Amico Ryans now.
Yes. Trying to think who else. You could say McDaniel's down there in Miami. Yeah.
McDaniel, Todd Bowles. That was at 4.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's and we're talking about a game that's mostly, you know, mostly minorities in this game now. You know, it's cool to celebrate, you know, the progression and stuff. You know, not everything comes together and stuff, but we're seeing progression in one, you know, coming up in the rear in other aspects. But you know, we're all getting better, right? I mean, it's the game.
You know, at the end of the day, man, it's you know, it's okay to acknowledge these things and celebrate them for what they are, right? And if people feel like, hey, like, you know what, this is not important, like why they had to make it about race and whatnot. But the thing is, where people who are dealing with these, you know, these things of maybe racism, or if they see, you know, bias or whatever it may be, then, you know, they understand the part of it, the significance of it. And so, like I said before, man, these things should be acknowledged. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it doesn't, then you don't have to say anything about it, right? It's not necessarily saying, well, somebody else, they should this, or they no. What we're saying is, hey, this is something that is historical. It's the first time it's ever happened, and it should be acknowledged as such. And so, now that's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. So that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and also too, it's forget about the minority aspect and the historical aspect. There's two good guys. Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes are two good guys, and they're guys that it's a story. They both have stories where you can like really like get behind. Where like, you know, Patrick wasn't the highest graded guy coming out of high school, went to Texas Tech. You know, Jalen Hurts was at Alabama, had a transfer because he got benched at Oklahoma, and he had to compete for that starting spot at Oklahoma. And then, you know, and then up until last year, the Philadelphia fans wanted him out. They didn't even want him to be the quarterback, to be the guy. And look, you know, I mean, it's stories like that, which is just, it's so cool. It just shows you how, like, what these guys are ranked coming out of high school. It doesn't mean crap. That doesn't tell the whole story.
Well, I think it's that, you know, just going through that, just talking about Jalen Hurts in itself, not just Jalen Hurts, but also to Patrick Mahomes. I think Dante Hall, he shared a little bit something on IG. He was talking about how people were saying, you know, about Patrick Mahomes, like, why do you take a guy? Why do you, you know, go ahead and move up in the draft to get a guy like this, right? He doesn't set his feet. He's not the traditional quarterback. He's not the traditional guy. Same thing they say about Jalen Hurts. He's not the traditional guys. Well, they win. Patrick's been to 5 AFC championships, right? He's a winner. Jalen Hurts is a winner. Goes from Alabama winning, Oklahoma being a winner. And so sometimes when you use the significance on particular guys, like when they say Joe Burrow, well, shoot, Jalen Hurts is just as accomplished. I mean, he's been winning. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, because he's not the typical guy, then then all of a sudden it might be a slight to him. And that, to me, that's the thing that really irks me and other people when they hear things like this, right? And so, when you don't give these guys they do, and they were trying to downplay Patrick Mahomes not being this guy, and he is the most accomplished guy as fast as he has been able to do it. It shows you how wrong people were, right? Yeah. Doug Peterson didn't want Jalen Hurts. He shouldn't have been a starter, and this guy is taking him to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And I love Doug. I think, Doug was, but he has his way how he runs his system. And so sometimes when you see, it's the same thing like how you see tight ends today, right? It ain't the traditional tight end that's hitting, guys in the mouth for being 275 like I was to block. Now you got more athletic, smaller tight ends that can get open, that can do a little bit more of the blocking. And so that's what you're talking about. You're transitioning to a different phase of the game. It's not saying that these guys are not good tight ends or anything like that. They're tight ends. They're just because the league has changed a little bit, right? Which is a good thing. It's a great thing. And, it's important to like I said, to acknowledge these things. So.
In the comments, people were talking about Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if you saw the other reports that he's interviewing around the league to be an OC. I believe the Commanders are one of the teams. The Ravens were one of the teams. And a few other teams were there. What do you make of that? Why would he make a lateral move to go to another team to be an offensive coordinator elsewhere, JD? To me, that doesn't make any sense, but maybe you could provide a little bit of clarity to why he would do that.
Well, I think part of it is to get from underneath Andy's shadow, possibly, right? It's like he just still didn't get his due. It's the same thing. Like, hey, if everything goes wrong, it's EB making the calls. If everything's all right, it's Andy making the calls. And then when we shared the video, and I think you shared it with Travis Kelce. Well, Andy making the calls, and I'll say, man, it's a collaborative effort, no doubt about it. We only know truly who's doing what. At certain times, they only truly know who's making calls, who's writing everything up. But it is a collaborative effort, no doubt about it. Andy's the one that said EB makes the calls, and that not, so Andy's lying. So that's the thing about it. I think EB is just like, look, I got to go somewhere. So it's no question, as far as my brilliance and I can do these things to move up. I think it's really a disservice and injustice that he hadn't had a head coaching job yet. I mean, really, especially the type of guys that's gotten jobs as head coaches in the NFL now, and EB hadn't gotten a shot.
Yeah,
that's to me is just as tragic. It really is. So I know you have one guy saying one thing like Shady McCoy said whatever, but EB he deserves a shot. He really does. So,
yeah. Well, it's one of those things I read. I mean, you talk about like guys who've got and who've got even interviews, right? Ken Dorsey, OC for the Bills this 1 year, and you can say this offense has regressed big time in a year. And Ken Dorsey was the OC, is the OC for the Bills. He gets interviewed for a head coaching job at Carolina. I don't think Carolina even interviewed EB for their head coaching position. They've already filled it. But I mean, the fact they're interviewing guys like Ken Dorsey, and also another aspect too is I love Matt Nagy. I'm glad he's back with us as a QB coach. But Matt Nagy got that job being the Bears head coach, and being in the same position that Bieniemy was in. Yeah. Bieniemy's been more successful in that OC role than Nagy was. I mean, this 5-year run, this as EB being the OC. We can talk about who's being the play caller or not, but EB's been in this role for the last 5 years, and you can arguably say has the best body of work of any OC in the league.
Oh, no doubt.
Right now, so that doesn't make any sense to me. Why he would be passed over?
Well, I mean, I think it's still that's the bias sometimes that people may have, they don't realize it, right? And this is assuming that Nagy was a guy, he's a brilliant guy. He can come in, he can run the team, but somehow they feel that EB can. So, That's what I'm saying. Like there needs to be some type of things be addressed. They're able to get around the Rooney Rule and stuff like that, which is crazy because the reality is nobody wants the Rooney Rule to exist. You know what I mean? Nobody wants it to. If everything was fair and it was all merit and all those different things, then you wouldn't have to create anything like that, right? That's the whole point of it. And so it's like, man, if everybody's getting a fair shake at these things, right? And like you said, based off the body of work, then the natural process should be EB should be a head coach somewhere in the league, right? So that's my point I'm making. I think a lot of people are making a point like Benjamin, the same thing. Everybody's making those type of points, man, and they didn't see it. And what if it's maybe an owner, somebody who may not necessarily be comfortable or feel like they want to give reins over to a guy? I don't know. So, like I said, we can't necessarily know what's in a person's heart, but we do see the things that happen that you have to question and wonder, what is it then? Right.
Yeah. Colts have interviewed him twice and they haven't named their head coach yet. So there's a chance that he could get his head coaching gig with Indianapolis. I don't know if you necessarily want that head coaching job, because that for me personally, that's kind of a mess over there outside of Jonathan Taylor. And they have some good pieces here and there. No, I don't know if that's not the head coaching job I would want.
Actually, you know what? I really believe, man, the coach would be a great job for EB, to be honest with you. If he gets if he gets a good quarterback, which I think they will, I think, man, they're very good. They're a very good football team. Very good football team. I spoke to one of the rookies on the team, and I told him who I thought who was going to come to their team as a quarterback.
Who?
Well, I would just. He was like, man. He said, I would love to have that guy. I said, man, I'm telling you, the way I see it, how things are shaking up, this is a possibility. I said, if you get EB out there, man, he's a player's coach. He'll get guys rallying around him to get to play. He's a former player, and guys, they absolutely love guys like that because they know that he's been there before. He can relate to these guys. So why would you not want a guy like this as your head coach? No, I know EB. I mean, EB, when I'm telling you, as a motivator, when he gets in the locker room with the guys, man, he's going to get it out of them. Believe me, he is going to get it out of them. Trust me. So that's the thing about it, man. Excuse me. If you could take a chance on Jeff Saturday, right? And I'll be like, shoot, Jeff Saturday, I'll try to get him on my staff. Hey, Jeff, you want to coach? Hey, how about this? Why don't you do this for me, right? And I think those things can work, especially to have former players working together. They understand what these things mean. That would be a great fit for EB. I think he'd do a good job, man, with Indianapolis. No doubt about it. Seriously.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be a huge loss for us. I know there's a lot of fans that want him to go. And obviously, yeah, I want him to get a head coaching job. But the selfish aspect, I don't want EB to leave because I feel like things would change. And I know a lot of people think it's Andy Reid's offense and it's Pat and Andy and nothing else matters. But, that is a change. And we've been lucky enough where we've had the continuity of having all these guys for the last 5 years together. So it would be kind of sad to see EB go, but also I'd be happy for him, personally.
Listen, at a certain point, man, guys got to move on. They got to move forward. And the thing is, he's done enough that he's warranted getting a head coaching job somewhere in the NFL. So my thing is, keep being a coordinator here. You keep being successful. You're not making any type of advancement on your career, on doing anything. You're always in the shadows of Andy. So you're not always going to get the dude that is needed to you. So that's why I'm saying, man, EB, this might be a good move after this year, after they win the Super Bowl, to go and say, hey, look, man, it's time for me to have a shot, really. So the NFL needs to make that happen, truly.
And there might be something to the fact that the Colts haven't hired a guy yet, and they're waiting. Everyone else is closing up their doors on their guy, and they say Jeff Saturday's still in the running for it. EB's still in the running for the Colts job, so hopefully EB is the one who comes out on top on that whole thing.
I hope it happens, they work together, right? I think Jeff needs to learn a little bit more of the coaching aspect of it, which will help him out tremendously.
Quite frankly, you see what Detroit's doing with all that staff, all former NFL players in that team. I mean, Detroit looked amazing this year.
Listen, I'm telling you that. Look, our staff that we had out there for the NFLPA Bowl we were sitting there, Andre Rison said, man, we could take his bowl and win the championship, the Super Bowl. I said, man, you are right. I'm telling you, man, Hall of Famers, Pro Bowlers, we worked together, and it was like the locker room, man, but we got our work done. We knew exactly how to do it. I watched these guys work, man. These dudes, man, were incredible. Every single one of them, man. And so when you have those things, you have the resources and people in your corner, but guys that know how to do it, they know how to win. You got you got winners. You got winners. And so I think that takes a little bit of that magic. That's that rapport that you need, to make a difference. And so, Andre said that, man. Dre said, I was like, man, you are right. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. So
yeah, it's funny. My brother and I were watching that game together. We said the same thing. Like that'd be amazing. Like if you had that staff, if you name those guys who are on that staff as your team's coaching staff, like, damn, that's a really good coaching staff. And that's the thing. It's like, that's why, I mean, you can't pay for that kind of the years experience that you guys have. Like there's a lot of these coaching staffs who, some of these guys play 2 years in the league, 1 year in the league, and some of these guys never played in the league. They were just the son of somebody who's a head coach of some other team or the owner of some team. It's a nepotism aspect of it. Where like you guys actually have the body of work behind it.
Oh yeah, I mean you can see some guys probably hadn't strapped up and got into the league, got into trenches, and understand what that means. Understand what that hurt is. Understand being injured and being hurt. All those different things, the mindset, the mentality, what it takes to win. It's not really a strike against them. I'm just saying that guys that have been there before, they understand what it is and what it's all about. And so when you want to try to at least adopt that type of same attitude, when somebody has been there, have done it at a high level, shoot, man, show me the way. And I'm telling you, we had it all, man. Cliff Matthews, Joe B, Richard McNutt, Gunnar Daniels, Cameron Clark, Chad Lucas, those other guys I didn't even name on there. Shoot, Nick Novak, special teams coach. I mean, come on, man. Chris Rowland. I mean, we had guys. We had guys. And so that's the thing about it, man. You could put a team like that together, and I love how they work up there in Detroit with Campbell and those guys, because you can see they understand what it's all about, right? They didn't give up on each other. They bought in, and that's what you need to do. When you come in, you buy into the system. You buy into a guy that you know who has played ball before. It's like your old teammate, and you all got the same thing together. And sometimes, guys who haven't necessarily been there, they don't quite know what that's all about. I mean, it's the same thing like it might in the military. Guys that's been in the military, they understand that camaraderie and having each other's backs in particular things. And somebody who hasn't been in the military, they don't quite understand those relationships, right? Nope. And so when you look at it, man, you just got to look in all of these things and understand, like, yeah, that's a special, different bond that they have, And so and you just got to see it, you got to know it. So.
Yeah, and if like, that's the thing too. It's like if you can name for Detroit, for example, you have Dan Campbell, head coach. He was a solid tight end in the league, played for a long time. Mark Brunell, quarterbacks coach. Deuce Staley, running backs coach. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator. And these are all guys who, if you said you had a team, let's go back to the late 90s. If you said you had all these guys as your starting stars for those positions, you'd be like, damn, that's a playoff team right there. Like, yeah, no shit, it is.
Right. I mean, shoot, look at, I mean, Jaguars. Hey, you have Greasy and all, like Doug Peterson. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like you start seeing teams, have former players are doing well, right? So
yeah. Well, we have a question here from Angry Chunk in German. Of the former players, JD knows who he'd like to see coach. Who would be really good?
Ooh,
that's a good question.
That's a really good question. Man, there's a ton of them.
If you had to narrow it down to one guy that the head coach of the team that you would know who'd probably be I'm sure you know a lot of guys who for that spot, but if you had to narrow it down to one guy as a solid head coach, who would it be?
Oh man, narrow down.
I'm sure it's tough.
It's very tough. It's very tough.
You got top five. Give me a top five then.
I think Mike Harwell, Brian Greasy, EB, of course, Lynn, who's out there, who was with the Chargers coach. I think he still deserves a shot. Let me see. Man, you said top five. Jeez. Would be a good coach. I don't think he'll ever do it, but I think he'd be a hell of a coach. Is Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees would be a tremendous coach.
Yeah.
Let me see who else. How many is that? Is that 4 or 5? I think that's 5, isn't it? Somewhere
Yeah, that's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's tons of guys. I mean, DeMarco he's already going out there. I think what's the name of 2? There was the OC for Brian Leftwich. He'd be a great head coach too. I think he'd be a shot. Yeah.
Will Shields was a name on here. You think Will Shields could be a good coach?
I don't think Will would do it. Will be a hell of a coach, man. But Will, I don't think that's his demeanor. His demeanor to be a head coach. Will, I think, is an incredible person. But Will won't want to put up with all that silliness and mess, man. Will ain't about that silliness,
Don't got time for it.
No, I ain't got time for it, man. He's he got time for it, man.
So one of the things, so we kind of talked about, all the different reasons why it could be the Andy Reid Bowl, yada, 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 and the Kelce Bowl. There's been some stuff. I think Eagles fans are trying to whip up some stuff, some kind of cock some stuff to get, some bulletin board material for the team to get, pissed off bad, and for Eagles fans to maybe hate the Chiefs, finding something, right? So everyone's kind of talking about how this is the Andy Reid revenge game, right? He's coming back to play his whole team. He got them to the Super Bowl. They lost. That was the year that the TO played on a broken ankle. They lost the pay. But people are starting to whip up some stuff, and some fans may not know this, but Coach Nick Sirianni was an offensive assistant coach for us back from 2009 to 2012. He came on with Todd Haley, and Remy Cornell brought him back for that last year in 2012. But then when Coach Reid was hired, Coach Reid did not retain Coach Sirianni. So Eagles fans are taking that and saying Andy Reid fired Coach Sirianni from the Chiefs. And now this is Sirianni's revenge game in this one coming up. You've been around. You've been around the league, JD. Can you talk about how not retaining somebody is not the same as firing someone? Because that's not the same thing at all.
Well, it isn't, not necessarily. Okay. And sometimes what happens is, you already know who your staff is going to be, then it makes it tough, right? It's like, I don't have to retain this guy because I already got a guy for that position. And so, hey, man, Sirianni, I appreciate it, but I already got a guy that I'm bringing in to do this. And so the thing is, if you got familiar with a guy that already knows your offense, knows your system, know how you prepare and all those different things, it makes it an easier transition as opposed to getting a guy that doesn't quite know it and you got to teach him those things. And so I think that's part of it. So I don't think it's necessarily a revenge game. I wouldn't say that. I got fired by Andy, when I was in Philly. So, I got left go. I don't necessarily look at it as revenge. I look at it as business. It's part of business. And so, if they had that guy, then so be it. That's whatever. And, you just got to move on from it. So you always want to feel like you are that guy and the guys could always work with you. But, hey, maybe like they got a vision and they already talked to guys about what their vision is going to be. And so I know that on every level, that's what ends up doing when you go out for coaches. It's different. Like when you're in high school, you can put it on Indeed or, on LinkedIn or something like look for a coach. It don't really matter. It's like, hey, I just want you to come out here, teach these guys certain things. But when you get into college and, of course, the pros, it's totally different.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll say for that, like, for a player, right, getting released, that is like getting fired, right? So I see that would be, you got fired, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the retaining or not retaining, that's like, it's not the same thing, but like when a president goes to when he goes to the office, right? When he gets elected,
right?
Oftentimes they're not going to keep on everyone from that previous regime. They usually bring their own people, and you're not really fired from that. That's just like, I'm bringing in my own guys, and like you're not needed there anymore. It's not really fired.
Exactly. Well, that's how I explained it. But also too, you had to think about if this guy's good enough, okay. And Andy Reid was like, hey, man, everybody talked Sirianni up and was like, hey, but this guy's brilliant. You got to have him on your staff. Maybe I take a look at him, right? And maybe Reid took a look at him and he was just like, okay, that's just not what I wanted. So I don't know, but absolutely, he didn't retain that. That's what I was saying before. Not necessarily that, right? And so they can look at it that. But if Sirianni at the time was good enough, and Reid was like, yeah, I need this guy because he's brilliant. I got to have him. Hey, Sirianni, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know where you're going, but how would you like to coach on my squad? We'll put you, we give you a position. We don't have, I don't know, maybe a wide receiver coach field or maybe a offense, assistant offensive line coach. Can you do it? Right? So I don't know. Quarterback's coach. You're not retained. So it's not the same as being fired, but it's got to be a part of the consideration about keeping the guy on if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. So, but let me put it this way. Okay. Even so, regardless of that, right? If you're trying to capture something to use it for a revenge game and all these different things, man, you're reaching for these things to be upset with, right? I mean, I'm sure Sirianni is not like, hey, man, listen, it didn't work out. He brought his new crew in. I wasn't part of that, and that's okay. I wanted, Andy to do well. I'm doing well. I'm a head coach now, so it worked out for me, right? So I think that's part of it, man. When people start making these revenge games for different reasons, hey, man, don't look at every little thing. Well, you kicked my dog 10 years ago, or, what I'm saying? And, all those different things, just trying to find it. And I seen you say something on Twitter, and look, hey, man, here's what it is. Andy can almost say this is a revenge game for Andy Reid, right? For the same thing, leaving the Eagles and them not believing in him and his vision, and he's going out to Kansas City. And so, were they tired of him? I know how, I'll tell you this. I do know how the fans were feeling about Andy. I know that with all the things that was going on with him up in Philadelphia and stuff like that, how the fans were talking, right? I do remember all of that happening at the time. And so you got to have love. This is all business. This is what happens. This is what it is. So maybe Andy may get a little sweet revenge, maybe small tip about like, hey, you know what? I won a Super Bowl with Kansas City, and we win 2. Y'all got rid of me. I took y'all to 4 NFC championship games. Didn't win it, but hey, I got 2 with Kansas City, right? Y'all could have had this. It's gonna be y'all. So so
yeah. So in that you would say this is more of a revenge game for Andy more so than Sirianni because maybe he was fired from the team.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I look at it. So I think it's a little bit more like that sweet revenge for Andy on his side, right? Not that he has love for Philly. Philly has love for Andy, no doubt about it. But at the end, everybody was kind of chirping, "Hey, look, he's at the end of his rope. We don't quite know. It's time to get rid of him. He's not really doing anything for the Eagles." So, let's see. That's good.
There you go. What if there's something specific you remember some fans saying? I mean, I from what I remember, it was stale and it was just time for a change kind of thing.
Time for a change, but they were saying the offense, like, this is Andy Reid. This is what he does. This is how he loses. That's what he was saying. He doesn't, he doesn't run the football. He, always try to passes. He's not great on third down. And, you see certain things. I seen the stat that we were like 31st and 3rd and 1, right? But there's different reasons for that. But I'm upset with some of the things that we do on third down, 3rd and short, why we don't get the first down. So, I have a little, quip about those things. But that's how the fans are talking about Andy. I remember just the conversations with the fans, what they were saying, how I was talked about. A lot of whispers. And then it came out loud. And Philly, it's going to be loud. They don't care. So.
Yeah, they want you to hear it in Philadelphia. Actually.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it.
Now this will be that's going to be an interesting dynamic. See how the Eagles fans continue to try to stir up stuff and make something that's not really there.
He didn't give it his all when he was up here. He's a bum. But, he had the greatest team. He could have won at least 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Yeah, he just didn't have it in him, right? And they'll bring up all the family issues and all those different things. Yeah. Right? So,
but you see some Chief fans doing that when we lose a game during the season. They bring all that stuff up, and it it is on Twitter when Chiefs fans lose.
Ridiculous.
Okay, so final topic here tonight. We have 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. So about a week and a half now. That game was crazy. I mean, JD, you start watching that game at halftime. You text me, ask me about certain guys. Where the hell is he? Where is he? And I'm like, oh, he's out. Like he got hurt. He got hurt on the first play. Like Jerry Sneak, he cussed first drive. Willie Gay got hurt with a shoulder injury. Cole Hardman re-injured his stomach, his pelvic injury. Juju knee. Justin Watson didn't even play with an illness that he had all week. Like Tony tweaked his ankle. A lot of injuries, but yeah, we have a week and a half to get right and get everything. How important is this week and a half for a lot of these guys to get ready? And are you concerned about some of these injuries going forward?
Week and a half. I mean, it's very important. It's very important these guys get as much treatment as possible to get their bodies back to play this game. You got one game, one shot to do this. And so I would do everything in my power to get myself back. And so I think if these guys don't get back, it's going to be a tough road for the Chiefs. It's going to be very hard. And so you got to get at least 2 of the 3 wide receivers we lost. You got to get at least 2 of them. So I don't care if it's Juju, McCole, or Kadarius. I like to get all 3. But if you have just 2, then that gives you a much better shot. Yeah. But same thing on defense. Snead, Juan, right? Those are guys that you need. And so when I went back and watched the first half of the game, what you do is you can open up the offense in different ways, right? You can open up the offense what you wanted to do. You could do the same, the jet sweeps with Hardman and Kadarius Toney is different from Sky Moore. It is, right? It's a faster twitch guys. It's not saying anything about Sky Moore. It's just talking about, the amount of talent that these 2 guys have. And so same thing with like Juju getting open. Juju is a little bit different from Marcus Kemp. He's different. So let's just be honest here. I'm not, here to blow the alarm on particular things. I think it's just we got to take it in reality of what these things mean. And so when you have a full board of guys going into the game, then you got to make sure that you're throwing everything at this defense. Philly's got a spectacular defense. They really do. And so you're going to need some ammunition, some weapons around you going into the game to combat that. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you'll need some other guys. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality. Because they're going to be coming after the ball. But you know what? The defense has never seen such a innovative, incredible offense like the Chiefs. They just haven't this year. They have not. And so I think we match up really well against them. I say we, and in the course of it, Chief and Eagles. I got kind of 2 hats on these things, but I'm not. I don't want to be biased here. I'm not going to be biased this entire 2 weeks. I'm just going to talk about ball in itself and what I'm looking at as far as teams, how they match up. Same thing defensively. I think the Chiefs do really well against the offense. I think they do. You got long, big body corners. McDuffie is one that is he loves getting his nose in there. He does a tremendous job. I think you match up well against the receivers. Goddard is a good tight end. The thing is, you got to corral him, make sure he don't get open and start, killing you, because he will. That's another thing. He's one of those guys, I think, is kind of like Kelce. He has a lot of ability to make guys miss and just, make plays. Same thing. You got to corral, make sure Jalen Hurts don't start hurting you with his legs. So I think when you start doing these things, you talk about the injuries, having veteran guys who have been there before absolutely helps 100%. And so next week we'll look at it and see where everything is. But from this point on to hey man, get as much treatment as possible. Get as much rest as possible. Same thing with Pat. Get as much rest as possible. Kelce, get as much rest as possible. They know how to play in big games. And they're going to be ready. No doubt about it. These other guys, when they get these injuries off them, little bumps and bruises, we need for them to heal up. We just need you for one game to give it all. This is what this is all about. This is what all the practices, all the hours, all the days during summer camp and training camp and, eating a particular way and lifting the weights. And all. This was all for this. It's all for this. And so whatever you have to give up, whatever you need to do to get yourself ready for this game, you need to do it. Period. You can't play around it. No whatsoever. So Kadarius Toney, if you could give us 10, 15 snaps, good. But Cole, I don't know how he's going to play, whatever. If you could give certain, cool. Juju, the same thing. But all those things put pressure on the defense of the Eagles. And so, I like both teams, man. They both match up really well. This is what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a Chiefs Philadelphia Eagles game. It was the two teams I was talking about. I remember I brought up New Orleans. I said the Saints, they couldn't help. The injury bug hit them with everything, and they didn't, they didn't really do, because of what they are. But the second team was the Eagles. That's what I'm looking at. Chiefs and the Eagles. And here it is. This is what you got. This is what I have. So here it is.
Yeah, JD. So Mike Nugent brings up a good point. It's something I was going to ask you. So towards the end of that game, when the injury bug completely hit our wide receiver depth, we saw the 13 personnel. We saw the usage of putting Fortson out there, Gray out there all at the same time, and these guys are running routes out there with Marcus Kemp and stuff. I mean, how big of a deal? I mean, could if the injury bug happens to hit us again during this game, are you fine with what we got right now? Can this team get done with the 13 personnel in the Super Bowl?
I love 13 personnel. Ran it a lot in the first half. Like I said, I went over and I looked over everything, and what they were doing, they was giving us 7 in the box. And so when you was seeing 7 in the box, that's where you need to throw it, right? And so 13 personnel, you got Jody, you got Noah, and you got Travis. And you can absolutely be effective by doing that. The thing is, when you have 13 personnel, you think, okay, they're either going to try to, get to the edge, or they're going to run the football somewhere up in the middle. Well, the best thing to do is throw out a 13 personnel, right? That's what you do. You got big body guys at tight ends who can catch the football, who are athletic, and go and do everything a wide receiver can do, right? They may not have the speed, but they got the bodies and the size and the range to go get those balls. And so I think you could definitely get it done in 13 personnel. 13 personnel has to be a very important aspect of what you do, especially in this game, because it throws you off. It just throws the defense off, right? Oh, okay, here 13 personnel, but they're going to run the football. Well, now everybody expands. Ball is getting thrown, right? Now you got a matchup against Jody, who is 6'6", against a corner who is 5'10", okay? Travis Kelce, who's killing everybody in the league. Noah Gray, who's going out there, he's catching balls in the middle too. So all those different things can help. All 13 personnel, I truly believe you got to throw the football to 13 personnel. We did it a little bit. We got them. We did. I looked at the game, man. It was a great game plan, but I think you got to throw out a 13 personnel too. And that just keeps them honest. You know what I mean? Seriously. Great question, Mike. Mike, that's my man right there, brother. Yeah. Dude.
Yeah, that was towards the end of the game when I remember looking at my brother, I'm like, who the heck are we going to have out there running routes? And all of a sudden I see big old Jody out there. I'm like, uh-oh. Okay, yeah, we have him lined up as receiver. And I believe that was what at Valdes State, he was a little bit of receiver and tight end. He was a little bit of both there, right. Making the transition to full-on tight end when he came to the NFL. But, I mean, he was running in the slot as a receiver and on the outside too. I mean, it was nice to see that, and that shows the versatility that we have. So, I mean, well, the fact that we have the versatile type guys, we can get away with that.
Yeah, but that's what makes 13 personnel so dangerous, because you do have guys that can catch the football and they're very effective about it, when you're sitting over there lining up against them. And so, run the football at a 13 personnel. Absolutely. Throw the ball at 13 personnel. You could definitely do that. And so I think it gives you an advantage because you have guys that are tight ends that can do it all, who can block effectively, but also, too, in a passing game are very dangerous, getting down the field and matching up really well. Safeties and corners. It don't matter who it is. Definitely linebackers.
The one thing I gotta say that was pretty impressive. There was a moment in the game where I think it was McKinnon was out of the backfield, but he went downfield. He caught one of the laser from Penn, and it looked like Tyreek Hill for a second there. The way he kind of caught the ball and then juked and then juked out of the way. I mean, McKinnon's moves, man, something else. He doesn't get the amount of props as he should for some of the moves he puts on guys out there.
No, sure, no doubt. I've seen it, and that's the thing. That's what he got. He has that about him, man. He's got that quickness and versatility to him in his game, right? He really does. And so you got to get him the ball. He's another guy. He's another weapon. So the thing is, we got weapons around us if we need to, right? We have that. We have that in as far as in the room, on the offensive side of the ball. I think a running game needs to get going a little bit. I'm gonna say Pacheco, I think, was a little hesitant. I think he was more so didn't want to make a mistake. That's what it felt like to me when he was running the football. You know what I mean? Because I think there was some things he could have bounced and got to, but I mean, I think he ran hard, but there was times I think he could have probably done better. If we're able to push on this team, and I think, we at least try to, get the run out there. I appreciated that part of it because I'm just like, we do try to run. But then I seen, heck, when we get to all of a sudden the interception, remember the first half of the interception? Get the ball back with 2 minutes or something like that. We throw 3 straight passes. Like, run the clock out. Like, run the ball. Bless you. Like, run the football. Okay? Do that. Run the football. That's the time when you do it. You eat up the clock so you don't give them the ball back. That's what you have to do. So I just, man. I'm like, man, this is crazy. When I watched it, I was like, man, that's exactly what happens. We get into this, and I get, putting the foot on their necks. I get that part of it, right? You just want to dominate them. But then run the football, right? God. So I don't know. That was like my things that I was looking at. That was I could have said could have probably been done better. Should have been done differently. But man, whoever we going to the game with, PM15 is an incredible quarterback. There's no doubt about it. Who's the best quarterback in the league? And we need to put to bed all these other jokers that they keep trying to bring in to get in the same room as Patrick Mahomes. Okay, we need to stop. Well, I don't say we, but everybody else is doing that. Commentators and all of that, and Joe Burrows and all that. Hey man, stop doing it. It looks silly. So that's the thing, man. Yeah. But hey man, it's going to be an exciting time. This is going to be these next 2 weeks is going to be absolutely exciting. It's going to be incredible, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I got a few shows I got to do. I can't wait to get out there and start talking about it even more, man. But I do enjoy this live bit going on, brother. This is cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's always good hearing from our fans, and we haven't seen the last 2 live shows we have. You've been in LA for the College Bowl, so
West Coast.
It's good to get you back on here.
That's right, man. West Coaster, baby. I know Lance been holding it down though. So
yeah, Lance has been stealing the mic a little bit.
Lance got a lot to say, man. Yeah, I love his takes. He got a lot to say, man. That's good.
We love Lance. We love busting his chops.
Absolutely. You got Lance cooking, but let him go.
Yep. But that does it for Chief Concerns for this week's episode, part 1 of a 2-part Super Bowl preview show that we're going to be giving you guys. Next week, we're going to try to get a nice little guest on for you guys, a former Chief player or a current guy maybe, but we'll try to get a former one for you guys to preview Super Bowl, Eagles and Chiefs, the JD Bowl or the Andy Reid Bowl, whatever, with the Kelce Bowl, whatever you want to go with. We're going with the Dunn Bowl, but yeah.
Well, it'll be a nice surprise next week. Get some guys on, man. It'll be good.
Yeah,
be good.
We'll have someone. We'll have someone good for you guys. But that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Chief Concerns presented by Bet Online and Pickett. Make sure you guys check the link in the description below and use that promo code Chiefs for some goodies. JD,
hey, my brother. Always, it's been real. Appreciate it. Appreciate the people that came on and seen this. When you see it on, the show, hey, man, hit us, like, subscribe, and keep telling people all about us, man. I think we have the best content of talking former players and guys out here, and so we need to get out there a little bit more because I think everybody will enjoy the things that we have to say. So, love y'all. Appreciate it out there at the Chiefs Concerns Kingdom and all those different things, man, in the world.
Love you guys.
Love you.
We'll see you guys next week. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.